And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on episode 97. I got it right. People might be confused because last time I said we were on episode 95, the live one where Blue is in America. That was, in fact, episode 96.
Yes, back in the good old days when Blue was in America.
Back in the good old days. I honestly, that was an incredibly fun week.
It was
having you guys over here.
Yeah.
Also, like, it was great having like the other people living in the space. What are you're making faces?
Sorry, I'm staring at myself there, but I haven't even got your view up. Hang on 1 second. Actually, I think a camera's no, there you go. No, it was fantastic. We got to eat your food, drink your drink, and make a mess.
Yeah. We also made videos and went around and did activities, but we already talked about that in the last podcast, so we're not going to rehash it.
Took a shit in the garden. Oh shit! I didn't tell you that, did I?
You didn't do that.
Oh.
Yeah, those videos are coming along nicely though. The video of us actually having the podcast.
Yeah, it's fucking infuriating, right? Because it's like episode 95, 4 views. Episode 96.
Yeah, we're at
34.
Yeah. It's going well.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Moulin Rouge one coming up just to tease what's going to be coming out soon.
But you look truly dead inside because I think it was after I think we were woken up. I had a little bit of a hangover, and then I'd started drinking Baileys.
It was the last day before we left, before you guys left too. Like we recorded the Moulin Rouge one just before we were about to head to the airport.
Yeah, so I look like a piece of work.
Anyway, though, you said you've got some stuff to talk about this week. You've been eager to have this podcast because you've seen some things.
I've seen some things. Yeah. No, I got home to England and I was like, I'm bored again. I'd play a new game. So I spent an extortionate amount of money on the latest Digimon game.
Oh, the Digimon visual novel. Yeah.
Digimon Survive, which I thought before I played it, I thought I think Kaiser would like this. We discussed this, and Kaiser was like, well, it doesn't really look like my kind of game. And I was like, oh, come on, it's a visual novel. You fucking love that shit.
True.
And now that I've played it, I still think you would love it.
Well,
but not for the normal reasons.
Yeah, you've told me it has quite a dark story, and I am a fan of like tragedies. I'm a fan of kind of the more like morally gray or darker storylines. I find them very entertaining and compelling.
I will say the beginning was very slow because it was like every anime you've ever watched. That is to say, there are kids in school. They go on a school trip. Something is happening in the area with the school trip. Teachers being very irresponsible. Kids are walking off wherever the fuck they want. And they walk through a tunnel and they're in a forest that they don't recognize. Now, this is like an hour into the game. Or at least it was for me because I was actually reading the fucking dialogue.
Yeah.
My mistake.
Which you should
No
do.
Digimon. No Digimon. First hour of the game it felt like. But you were going to say something.
I was going to say that's the beginning of Spirited Away, the Miyazaki.
It's the beginning of every animated.
No, it's Spirited Away. Like she goes through a weird tunnel in the forest, ends up somewhere odd. She goes to a spirit world bathhouse. Anyway, sorry.
Well, they go to a spirity temple thing in there, and they're like, there are pictures on the walls, and there's an old dude who's like, I'm a scientist of made up shit. And yes, they then get attacked by shadowy creatures in the grass, which for some reason, some things you can only see by looking through a camera, which is very Japan horror cliche at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, what's that game? Fatal Frame. There's
Is
a
that
series
the
of
one with
games.
The girl in the school.
Well,
No.
there's a series of games called Fatal Frame, and the whole idea is you're a schoolgirl going through like a haunted mansion, and you have to get pictures of them with a camera.
I've not seen any of that game, but I know of it. Anyway, other than that, it's a completely redundant tool, and to be honest, you could easily get through the game without using it once. It literally just gets you bonus loot. Anyway, so you finally get confronted by a monster, and the monster is a Gotsumon that looks pissed off and makes weird fucking noises at you. It then basically breaks someone's legs.
Jesus.
It doesn't break them because the person can still walk. He's fine after a little while, but yeah, and then everyone.
I feel like
trying to find their friends. Go on.
I feel like in Gotsumon culture, that's just like light flirting.
There's a lot of evil Gotsumons. They really fucking hate Gotsumon in this game.
Isn't he's the little mini ogre guy, right?
No, that's Goblimon. Gotsumon is the little fucking rock guy. Yeah.
Okay.
He's not even that scary. He's just a pile of fucking rocks.
We've had this exact
have
conversation on the stream multiple times when we've been playing Digimon, because I keep thinking Gotsumon is the little guy with the club.
Yeah, no. But no, so you fall into a chasm in the earth and you wake up and everyone is gone. All the Gotsumon are gone, but you're still in the same place. And you keep walking, you find a school, and school, you go in there, you find a first aid kit for someone, and then suddenly you're stuck in the school. There are cobwebs everywhere. One of your friends gets kidnapped by a spider that is then going to eat her, and so you're walking around a haunted school area, like crawling through vents and stuff, to try and free them. Also, like, the Agumon and all that shit appears. Now, that was the first part of the game. And I'm not going to go into nearly that detail for the rest of the game, because it would take me fucking forever. And I still haven't finished it. But every decision you make from then on, even just talking to people for no fucking reason, like, it's like a point and click, where you can choose whether you want to talk to people or not.
Yeah.
You better fucking talk to them. You better fucking talk to them if you want a good ending. Holy shit. Right? Just going up to them and being like, hey, do you like apples? Great. Positivity up. Good for you.
It's the Mass Effect crew syndrome. Like, you've got to, baby all of your party members, otherwise they're going to die.
If you weren't there, very quickly. And the combat's fun. I do quite like the combat.
Actually.
But for a person that likes playing games, there's not enough combat for me. But there you go. There's a lot of talking. What are you going to say?
Just quickly, there's another visual novel series that I kind of feel like would fall into the same genre. The Utawaru no Mono series. I don't have any idea what it means in English, but they have actually released them on Steam.
Right.
And have been updated. I have the original Japanese one, but it only goes in like 800 by 600 resolution. It's tiny. But anyway, yeah. So that series also has like a grid-based isometric combat, and then also tons and tons of dialogue. And you have to talk to people and check in, and what you do on that determines certain things that'll happen later in the story.
So. You're going about on your adventure. We sorted out the thing in the school and we set out and we're like, right, let's go find whatever the fuck we're looking for, right? Some way of getting back to the human world. And walking along and they're like, hey, there's a random lady we've never met before who is like an adult. And she just seems completely normal and at ease in this place. And one guy in your group completely doesn't trust her and thinks that she kidnapped his sister. But this other dude in my group, right? This other fucking dude, who was an annoying, whiny bitch from the beginning. So I did my part not to talk to him as much as possible. Right? He starts going, Mummy? And it's like, it's not his mother. Everyone knows it's not his mother. And he's
he
like,
snapped.
But Mummy? And she's like playing into it. It's really fucking weird. It's like...
Is it meant to be creepy as fuck, or...?
It is meant to be creepy as fuck.
Okay.
Like, he is actually infatuated with this woman and is calling her Mummy. And then she, like, turns into a giant fucking spider, you know, as they do. And tries to kill everyone. And he, the one who was infatuated, or whatever, like, falls off a fucking bridge. And I don't mean, like, a little bridge. I mean, like, you know, in
goes into
Westerns,
a gorge. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and lands in a river, and he's completely fine. And it's alright. It's like, oh, shit, okay, cool. He's got Wormmon as a partner, by the way, which, honestly, Wormmon, even though he's the only one that can't speak, pretty fucking cute. You wouldn't think of... not Wormmon, Kunamon.
Okay.
And so he stands up from after falling into the river, and he's like, huh. And he starts seeing illusions and stuff, and he just walks into the river and gets ripped apart viscerally by a bunch of black hands that rise out of a portal and just tear him to shreds. And then Kunamon vanishes. And he's just fucking dead. And I was like, oh shit. This was the point where I realised that actually maybe my decisions are affecting the story a little bit.
Oh, let me guess, this is the guy you just didn't bother talking to.
Well, no, I didn't talk to any of the fuckers that I didn't need to, basically. I was like, right, I'm doing it for the game part, I'm training up my Digimon, they're going to be real fucking powerful, it's going to be great. I don't really care as much about the text bit. That's not an option. And then, so at this point, I was 50% on the fence. I was like, maybe that was, like, the game being like, wake up call. This is a dramatic game where bad things happen. Go wild. Or maybe it's because I was ignoring the guy. But then, I started talking to everyone after that, just in case. And this one guy started being like, he had Lopmon for his partner, right? You know what Lopmon?
No.
Adorable little brown bunny with giant ears.
Oh, okay,
In fact,
yeah.
we've just had him in next door.
No, I do know who you're talking about.
Very sweet. Personality, very sweet, very apologetic for everything, and cutesy. Every time that Lopmon opens her mouth, this pretty big dude is like, shut up, you fucking animal! Like, constantly. Every fucking time. And he's like, the easiest way to piss him off is just the moment she opens her mouth to apologise, to do anything at all. He's just like, shut up, you stupid thing.
Sorry,
And
is this her partner?
this is the guy, so one of the older guys, his partner is Lopmon.
Yeah. So it's Lotmon's partner that's yelling.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm like, God, this is really fucked up. And it gets worse. And then we're in a sewer, right? And we go into a level. Lopmon is there with this other guy. The guy looks like Joe, kind of.
Okay.
From the animated series. And Joe, he's repeatedly kicking Lopmon in the face.
Jesus.
Just bam, bam, bam. And then, unsurprisingly, Lopmon does the equivalent of Agumon turning into Skull Greymon. He turns into like this giant evil rabbit thing. Punches this enemy, instantly kills the guy, turns on Joe, and just rips him in two. Like, eats him, rips him in two, blood goes everywhere.
Shit.
And then Lopmon turns back into Lopmon, then gets consumed by the black hands coming out of the floor. It's so fucked up.
God, I do need to play this game.
Yeah. It felt a lot like... After that, I will say, no one else has died since. So there's that. In terms of Digivolutions, what happens is there's the wild Digimon you catch, and then there's the partner Digimon. The partner Digimon always start a battle as their rookie form, right? And then on turn 1, you can evolve them into any fucking Digivolution you want, as long as they've unlocked it.
So they went with the anime version of things where they digivolve in combat.
In the combat, yeah.
Okay.
But the wild Pokemon stay as whatever you call them as for the whole battle.
Okay.
Which late game means that you can have like ultimates just from the get-go, and when your champion Digimon evolve, when your heroic Digimon evolve, they lose mana each turn that they're evolved, but the regulars don't. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. I still haven't finished it yet because there's a really long dialogue bit I'm on at the moment, and it is draining me.
I mean, that's visual novels. Like they don't tend to end quickly by any means.
And it is very depressing, a lot of it. So I think you'd love it.
You know what? I won't lie. As
you're downloading it right now, aren't you?
No. I added it to my wish list.
Yeah, it's not super cheap, and if you have any dysphoria, this is more to the audience. If you have any dysphorias, I wouldn't recommend picking it up. It touches on some quite dark topics in the psychological horror genre. And I don't want people to get fucking depressed playing this game, but if you think you can handle it, then it's pretty fun. Yeah, that's my Digimon Survivor. I still haven't quite finished it, but I'm very close, I think.
And I'm probably going to be playing it soon.
Yeah, well, maybe it'll be on the channel. Who knows? We do have a habit of putting Digimon content on the channel.
I know God, that's been most of our streams lately.
Mm. Oh, and it's the same age rating as Digimon Next Order.
That's fucked up.
That is fucked up. 12.
Digimon Next Order is like, this kind of like, it's much more a kid's game. Like, there's some serious moments in it, especially now that the previous Digimon World protagonist, spoiler alert, is in the game, and he like seems to actually have his head screwed on right.
Oh,
but everyone else is just a dipsy little. Oh God.
Yeah, although I will say there was that moment of absolute horror when we briefly saw inside of Giant Nannymon.
But that's more of a visual glitch than anything else.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll pass the baton to you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about, speaking of games that we've been playing. I know I think I briefly mentioned it on a previous podcast. Maybe I mentioned it on the stream. I can't remember. It may have been in episode 95. But Cyberpunk Edgerunners, the anime on Netflix that had come out.
Yes.
So it's been blowing up like more and more and more ever. Like I think I got in on it early because it had just, like, I was on a business trip and it had just come out, and I was in a hotel and had Netflix, and that was my entertainment for like the week that I was there. And so it's apparently reinvigorated people wanting to play Cyberpunk. I know it did it for me. Because like I played it when it first came out. I said this before the podcast started. I was one of the fortunate few that never ran into any serious bugs, no game-breaking bugs. The ones I found were funny, like Skyrim level glitchy. They were more endearing than anything else, and they kind of added to the enjoyment of the game. But I've 100%ed the game like 3 times now. Like twice on the PC, and now I'm close to doing it again on the Xbox. And part of that, but they've added stuff into the game to integrate it into the Edgerunners anime too. And one of the things that you can do is you can actually find the remnants of what happens to the series, because the game takes place a year after this anime takes place.
Right.
And so you can collect some of the items and gear that were used by the characters in the show. You can get in contact with a couple of the people from the show.
That's cool.
They've added it in a patch. It's just like a little Easter, like not Easter egg, but it's not like a whole new side quest or anything like that.
Callbacks.
Callbacks, and it ties it together. And it honestly, I think this was a really, because CD Projekt Red, since the game has come out, have made massive strides to improving the game. There's, at least when I play it on PC, there's barely any glitchiness anymore. Things feel a lot more polished and cleaned up. When I first played the game, I had a 1080 Ti in my computer, and I want to say I had either a Ryzen 7 or an i9 processor in there. I can't remember if I had upgraded. I think I had the i9 in there at that point. So it wasn't like top of the line at the time, but it was, it was still a very solid machine. And I on like high or very high settings, I'd get like 40 FPS when it first came out. After they'd patched it a few times, I was getting 60. And now that my computer's been upgraded since then, but I can easily get like 120 FPS playing it on PC. And on the Xbox, there's no like frame lag at all. I'm getting 60 FPS at 1080p.
This article is starting to sound a lot like flexing, guys.
Sorry. I actually installed it on the new streaming PC that we built on the stream.
Oh, my new streaming PC, yes. You remember.
The one that we built. So the one that you used while you were here.
Yeah.
I want to see how that one handles it.
I see.
But yeah, they've made a lot of improvements, and they've just announced the big new DLC that's coming out for it, Phantom Liberty, which it sounds like it's going to be some kind of like the storyline is going to be more like espionage based, because you interact with a government institution, and there's apparently going to be ties into kind of like, because there are a few side quests that end on somewhat open plot points in the main game.
Are you bringing about liberty in this DLC?
No. So in the Cyberpunk universe, I don't know what your goal is. I imagine you'll have a few different choices.
Okay, because Phantom Liberty suggests that you're telling people you're being a liberator, but actually you're not.
That's a very real possibility. Because remember, this is a dystopian future.
I don't think they thought that far ahead, though. I think they thought Phantom's a cool word, and liberty is like gets people going.
If it was any other game developer, I'd agree with you. But these are the people that made The Witcher 3, and there are like all the Witcher games are steeped in like such deep lore, and everything really does all tie together. So I have a lot more faith in them. I probably have more faith in this game studio than pretty much any other one out there right now.
Isn't Phantom Liberty like a Metal Gear Solid game?
Phantom Pain.
Do they have another one that's got Liberty in it?
They probably have another one that has Liberty in it. I didn't really play Metal Gear Solid, but anyway, yeah. So it's coming out in 2023. They haven't put an exact release date, which is fine. But if it's anything like the Witcher 3 DLCs, it's going to be huge, because like the Witcher 3 Blood and Wine DLC added a whole new country to the game, and like it was like 20 or 30 or more hours of gameplay. It was basically an entire extra game. I'm hoping they do the same thing with this. But that's me just being a bit of a fanboy right there, because I love the setting, I love the city, I love the story, and I had a ton of fun with the game.
The Witcher TV series.
I put that more on Netflix. Yeah, the Witcher TV series was, but they
the
didn't have.
The first season was alright.
The first season was good. Yeah. Second season, I got bored after like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Even the first season, it was good, but they fucked up a ton of the lore.
Oh yeah, but to people new to it, they don't.
Yeah.
It's just a good show.
Yeah. But that's even though like I'd read the books and played the games, I still enjoyed the TV show.
And honestly, if you're sorry.
Yeah, I just every time they would do something stupid with the lore, I'd just kind of groan and roll my eyes, but it was still an enjoyable show to watch.
I mean, the ideal audience is not the people that you've already got anyway. It's the other people, so they did good there. But the
thing is, this is something I was thinking about, because that is the logic that goes into that. You know, they're like, they want... I think the Witcher TV show... Edgerunners and the Witcher TV show are actually a good comparison to make in this point. Because the Witcher TV show, yeah, the people who are already fans, they were probably going to watch it anyway. So why make it... Well, like, why care so much about the lore? Make a TV show that everyone is going to like or something like that. The problem is... You basically, if you do that, you have guaranteed yourself some level of bad press, because the people who are fans of the series and used to be bugging their friends, go like, oh yeah, play the Witcher games, oh, read the Witcher books, oh, they're great. Now they're going to be like, oh, but the show's shit.
You don't need press when you've got sales.
But if they're not that's my point. They didn't sell. The show tanked in the second season because they
but the first season was great, is what I'm saying.
But
Even
it
though
wasn't
they didn't
great,
follow
though.
the
It
law.
wasn't great, though. It was
It
good.
was.
It was good. It was not great. It was nowhere near great. My point is, Edge Runners, they did something that was actually like faithful to the lore, and they made a great show at the same time. And so
If
the
they had
people
really
who were
made it-
already a fan, now they're going to be out there selling the show. They're going to be like, "Oh, go watch this. Oh, this is awesome."
If they
And the
really
new
made
people who come in are going to see it, and they're also going to think it's awesome. So you get both.
Can I make my snide remark now?
Yes, go ahead.
If they really made it to the law, right, Edge Runners would have naked T-posing people flying above cars, right?
That's not the lore. That's a glitch.
That's the law.
That's not the lore.
That's origin stories.
It's not the lore. That's like saying if like they made the Witcher TV show faithful to the lore, they'd have Roach standing on top of a house.
Roach?
One of his horse in The Witcher.
Oh, right, yeah.
One of the more famous glitches from that game was occasionally he'd spawn on top of a house. I'm sad. I never had that happen to me when I played the game.
And, fuck, it would have been so fucking funny if they had done that, wouldn't it?
They actually reference it in the card game. When you play Gwent, there's a card called Roach, and it's just him standing on top of a roof. So I mean, they're self-aware about it. But yeah, I feel like Edge Runners kind of made me hopeful that maybe anime or TV adaptations or show or movie adaptations of games might work out. Because, I mean, Arcane was good. Granted, they were working from basically a blank
Arcane
slate.
was amazing.
It really was. I'd put Edge Runners on the same level, honestly.
No.
I would. Have you seen
I
it?
haven't seen it, but no.
Yeah. No, they're on the same level.
Okay. I've been watching a TV series, which is really weird for me because I don't generally watch TV. And it's fucking great, and I think you would love it because I feel like it speaks to our relationship, Kaiser. Sort of. So, have you
can't
heard?
see the look I'm giving him right now, but go on.
It's a smouldering look.
It's a withering look. It's a weary, world-tired look.
Have you heard of a TV series called Ted Lasso?
No.
Okay, right, here we go. It's the premise of it is this American football coach, right? It's an American football coach and his other coach who they're like a team is like, we're going to England and we're going to teach English football, or soccer as the Americans say.
Mm-hmm.
They have, well, Ted who is the main coach, has no fucking clue how soccer is played. But he's a coach. And like, it's sport, right?
Kick the ball.
And they very slightly emphasize Britishisms in the show, and he is quintessentially American. He is very happy-go-lucky, so definitely not from Boston. And it's like a comedy, basically, but it's also got, when it gets serious, you really feel it. And when there are joyous moments, you feel it. When they're sad, etc. But he doesn't know, like I said, many Britishisms, like the phrases that we use, or even just the terms that you use in soccer. And so, all the fans of the football club which he runs, whenever they're like in a crowd near him, they're just calling him wanker. Whether they're cheering him on or booing him, wanker.
Yeah.
And yeah, so personally, I'm not a sports fan. I particularly don't like football. I like games like rugby and stuff, but this show's all about football. It's amazing. It's really funny. You don't need to know any rules about football. The characters are great. It's very funny. It's just amazing.
I was about to say, if you actually don't know any of the rules of football, you can empathize with one of the characters.
Exactly. The acting is fantastic, and there's one bad thing about the whole thing, and it's a pretty big thing. And that is that you can only watch it on Apple TV.
Oh, well, that show's dead.
Exactly.
I own one Apple device, and it's that tablet over there, and I got it for free. I'm not gonna... All right.
I know. No one knows what a fucking Apple TV is. I'm have quite a techie family, so we have one. But if this show was on Netflix, which it never will be because it was made by Apple TV, it would be fucking everywhere. It's so funny. It's so good.
Actually, on that topic, just a quick, side note. I think that probably either Amazon or Netflix are going to win, like, the stream wars. You know how, like, there's Disney Plus and Apple TV and Hulu, and for a while there was that weird one called Quibi.
Right.
But I think the streaming services are going to end up being like MMOs. Because, like, most MMOs start up and then they fail and people go back to playing World of Warcraft. Even if people play them for a while, they go back to World of Warcraft. Most people. I'm saying most people. Because that's the one most people have put the most time into. And so they just kind of like, I'll play this one for a while. Oh, I really want it to succeed. And then after a while, when it starts to peter out, they just go back to WoW.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what's going to happen with streaming. Is like people are going to be like really like, oh, they want to support whatever weird one is out there, and they're like they want to watch this because they have some things on it, and then they're just going to be like, I'll just go back to Amazon Prime, or I'll go back to. Honestly, Amazon Prime probably has the best chance of keeping going because you get it for free by getting Amazon Prime, which is free shipping on stuff.
Well, that's the thing. That is what won the war for me. For a start, Netflix has a slightly dodgy history at this point.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I logged on the other day. Well, not the other day. It was a few weeks ago. In fact, I think I probably ripped into them on the podcast for it. And they were like, oh, by the way, next week, we're going to charge you more for your subscription. And I'm like, nope, I'm out.
I was really considering canceling Netflix for a while. The one thing that has kept me on it for like another month or so has been Edge Runners. I've watched that series now 3 times, like the whole way through. Which is why I'm pointing back to Arcane, because that's the only other series where when I watched it the whole way through, the first thing I wanted to do was watch it again.
Yep.
And, well, the first series in a while, I should say. And this one definitely fell into that same vein for me. But yeah, Netflix, I feel like a lot of these shows that come out like exclusive to streaming services, they're either like awesome or shit these days. And I think it comes down to the fact that they're producing them, but they're hiring studios to actually make them.
Yeah.
And so like the Edge Runner series was made by a fairly well-known and accomplished anime production studio. And then you've got shows like God, what was that really awful one
on Netflix?
That came out a while back.
How about the one where they got a bunch of influencers from YouTube, put them in a house together and recorded them?
I forgot about that. I forgot that even existed.
Yep.
Oh God. Or they
See, they put 2 influencers like us in a house. We're just doing the fucking weights.
Oh God. I'm still doing like 10 pull-ups a day over there. Got the
pull-ups and alcohol. That is what it will be.
Oh God, that was funny. I don't know if we talked about that on the podcast, but yeah, the first full night we were in the house after we'd gotten in, Blue and I were drinking and playing video games, and Blue's trying out my pull-up bar, and he did, in all fairness, like 15 to 20 pull-ups over the course of the night, But the next day, he was sore as fuck.
Yeah. Not. Honestly, my arms weren't even the worst part.
It was the
my
back.
fucking abs.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because you got a brace with the core.
Because I was like curling up as I went up. And,
yeah.
But yeah. Now I sound like I'm flexing.
You were flexing. On the pull-up.
Netflix. Yes, it's. I say that I've gone off of it. Obviously, I've unsubscribed, but that's not to say that I'm not still using my partner's account.
It's one of those things you really only need. They used to, they used to like encourage passcode sharing, but like they actually have like started cracking down on it now.
Not very well, apparently.
No. I mean, when you see like basically if it's obvious that like 15 different IP addresses are using the same account, they've been going after it. And that's just because they were losing money. Oh,
you say that this account is being used in 3 different counties and 2 different countries.
That's fair.
I mean, not doing very well.
I have a VPN that I'll use sometimes, and occasionally, if I forget to turn it off, I'll log into Netflix and I'm like, or I'll log into either Netflix or Amazon Prime and go like, wait, where the fuck are my shows? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm currently in whatever region I've logged into.
Yeah.
I just remembered a topic that wasn't on my list that we need to talk about.
Oh yeah?
I do want to ask. So since we're back to doing this in the digital format, I want to ask now that we're around 35.
The digital world, yeah.
Rather than actually being face to face.
Yeah.
Are we doing the just single segment format, or are we actually going to do a segment 3? I don't know if we. I feel like we could just keep going with topics and just do one long segment. Unless you have something compelling that you want to talk about in segment 3. The only reason we do segment 3 is to round out the Rings of Power series, but I haven't finished it.
I mean, alternatively, we could just cut it in half, and at the halfway point, we'd be like, and now for segment 3 added in, before we continue with the next topic. Movie magic!
We could. I feel like that's a little lazy, though. We're just going to keep going with the whole topics. All right, next topic. What? What are you doing?
We are a little lazy.
All right.
Go on.
Twitter. Have you heard what's been happening?
More Musk?
He actually bought it. It went through. He bought it. As of today, he is the owner.
Okay. It's a bit of an old story now, but there you go.
You want to know what the first thing he did was?
Shut it down?
He fired the CEO. He fired the CCO, I think it was, or it may have been the COO. I'm not sure which. But he fired like most of the chief officers of the company just in the first wave. It was just like, all right, you're out, like day one.
Well,
and it was hilarious because, and he is shit posting the whole time. There's a video clip that's up on Twitter of him walking into the Twitter headquarters carrying a kitchen sink with the subtitle, let that sink in. I fucked that line up so many times. And yeah.
Just for the meme.
Just for the meme.
Oh.
I
thought it was going to be something about everything and the kitchen sink. I thought the meme was going to be.
He's also completely locked down Twitter's code so it's currently being managed by the Tesla engineers right now until he finishes the transition to make sure there's no sabotage by Twitter people who are unhappy with him buying the company.
And firing everyone, yeah.
He did say he was going to fire 3/4 of the staff. He's rolled that back and said there will be layoffs, but it won't be that much. Although, from the sort of things that have come out of, like...
5/8.
The thing is, like, it doesn't really seem like they work at all. Have you seen these were going around for a while. I'm assuming they were on TikTok or some other cancerous social media site. But it was these people who are like, I think like mid to early 20s, working in like some kind of tech company,
Right.
and they're like, "Oh, this is my day working in tech in this location or this location," and it's literally like they get in late, they get free breakfast, they get free drinks, they play ping pong, they barely do any work. They go out drinking at night, and then they go home and do the whole thing over again. They put in like 2 hours of work a day. And
that's the good life. That's what I'm aiming for.
I mean, to be fair, if you can get into that, fine. You know, I respect the hustle. At the same time, why would you post that on social media? Because how could you not see that everyone is going to universally hate you?
Who cares if people hate you? You're playing ping pong and getting drunk.
That's true.
They probably did it while they were drunk.
But this is the other end of that, is now that the company's been bought, those people who aren't doing any work are probably going to get fired.
Probably.
Like,
I've worked at a company... a lot of fun memories while they...
I've worked at a company that was fairly, like, big on, like, not pushing people so far. So they'd have, like, work functions where they'd give out free food, give out free drink, and they'd encourage you to... They'd have, like, what they'd call, like, it was a something room. But essentially, it was a room that you could close the door, it would be pitch black, and there was a comfortable chair in the middle of it. No, that's not what it was for. It was... He's making a motion with his hand... That's not what it was for. It's called like not meditation room, but basically, if you just needed like a break, a quick nap, you could go in there and use it.
Someone definitely jerked off in there.
I hope not. I knew a guy who was like, he was like a Muslim, and he'd go in there because he had to do the prayers 5 times a day, so we'd go in there to do that. I went in there one time when like. I basically hadn't slept the night before, and took like a half-hour nap, and then came back out and was actually able to be productive in the afternoon.
I would rather have a small gym.
I worked at a company that had a gym too.
Because you're having a stressful day. You can't focus. Your attention's going everywhere except on the fucking screen. What you need right then is a punching bag.
Yeah. It's why my workout equipment's in my office. Like, if I feel like I can't focus, on the work I'm doing, I stand up, do a few pull-ups, do a few dips, come back over here, and I feel like a bit more refreshed. It clears the cobwebs out.
I really want a punching bag.
I mean, wanted one for a long time.
The pull-up bar is fucking great.
I've wanted a heavy bag for so long. I actually have space for it now. It's going in my basement. I'm going to buy one.
Yes, you've got so much room down there. Holy shit!
Yeah, there's tons of space down there. I'm getting a heavy bag and I'm putting it in my basement.
Sorry, I'm making plans for your basement in my head now.
Right.
No, God.
But it's one of those things where it's funny because like a few months ago, God, it was like half a year ago now. This was just like this massive meme. Like, oh, he's buying Twitter. Oh, now he's not buying Twitter. Now Twitter's suing him to make him buy Twitter. And then it actually went through, and the first thing he does is fire like half the C-suite.
Well, they fucking sued him.
They sued him to make him buy it.
Yeah, which is fucked up.
Yeah. Although, that being said, these people are getting fired, but they are getting, at those roles, they're probably getting multi-million-dollar severance packages.
That's like fucking Amber Heard, right? They get a lawsuit out against Johnny Depp before they had the relationship. Like, whoa. You looked at my ass. You gotta fuck it now. Or I'm gonna sue you. Sorry. Swallow.
He said that while I was taking a drink. Oh my god.
But you see what I mean?
I do. But yeah, the whole thing has been hilarious. I've loved watching the whole thing because I don't know. It's just been funny. Twitter's always been kind of a shithole, and I'm kind of eager and curious to see what's going to happen now that Elon Musk owns it. Maybe it will be worth using.
Indeed.
Maybe we'll actually start using the TMCJ podcast Twitter account again.
Maybe.
Because we made that. We used it for like 6 months and then dumped it.
Well, yeah. It was around the time where I stopped making the thumbnails, because fuck me, no one watches it on YouTube anyway.
Yeah. Except when we were both there in person.
Yeah. Then everyone fucking comes. It's not a thumbnail anyway, it's a fucking IRL picture. I feel so used.
Actually, speaking of stuff for the YouTube channel, I'm going to go back to flexing with the PC stuff again. Because I do.
Did I tell you that I completed the game 3 times through at 100%?
Not that one. No, that was just me pointing out how obsessed I was with Cyberpunk. I was explaining exactly how much of a fucking pathetic. That's not flexing. That's me dunking on myself, saying I wasted 300 hours playing this game 3 times in a row.
Yep.
But no, so we made it for editing, right? And for reference, when I'm like rendering like a hour-long video, say like the podcast, for instance, on this computer, it's rendering at around like 40-ish frames a second, which means that an hour-long video will take an hour and a half to finish rendering. The new one, that podcast, for instance, where it was us in like live there, it was rendering at 120 frames a second, so 3 times faster.
Nice.
And so the entire hour and a half or a little over an hour long podcast finished rendering in like 25 or 30 minutes. Like it's these new like i9 these new Intel processors, like the 12th generation ones, are fucking beastly. Like holy shit. Sorry.
All right, I've got a topic for us to wrap it up on.
All right, go for it. Let's hear it.
D&D.
All right.
Get ready for another hour and a half, boys.
Oh boy. Let's go.
Oh my god. So, one of my party members are saying they're going to do a campaign, and this has happened twice before now, and neither times has it happened. So, I am going full fucking Mr. Miyagi on this shit, and being like, this is how you D&D. So a person who's never DM'd, who really enjoys being in my sessions, and I'm like,
roll on, roll off.
It's wax on, wax off, but nice. Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah,
I see what you
D&D.
did there. Nice. But yeah, they're doing the thing that every person does before they DM for the first time. They way overthink every situation and plan out every single pathway, which is impossible. They put in a fuck ton of effort into the backstory, which is really good, but 3 months down the line, you're not going to be putting in the same amount of effort. So don't go too hard into it.
Yeah.
And they're also the biggest fear of all, terrified that people won't like it, so the date is getting pushed back and back and back. And I'm being like, no, next week, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because that's the way you've got to do it.
Gotta shit or get off. There's
shit or get off.
Shit or get
Beautiful.
off the I wanted to say pop, but that's not the right phrase. It's like shit or get off the something.
I see.
Basically just like,
I think that was one of Yoda's lines.
Oh, shit must you. There's
Oh, get the fuck out! Wait, that's Jar Jar Binks. That's Jar Jar Binks.
All right. So, but no, I mean that is very good, because you want to have, like, when you do a D&D campaign, you want to have like the world lore really fleshed out in your head, like the general understanding of the world.
Yeah.
Like that's never a waste to flesh that out. But like the individual thing, and especially mapping out decisions, that's a horrible thing, because you're going to end up with one of two things happen. One, the players are going to ignore it, and then you're going to be left with your dick in your
Burned by
hand
that.
going, yeah, like
so many fucking times.
same. And the other
And then
thing
what I
that
do
can
next
happen-
time is either make them see it or put it in later.
Well, this is the other trap, is especially for new DMs, is trying to, like, when they go off the rails, trying to force them back onto the rails that you've planned for. Because they're not going to have any fun if you do it that way, and they're going to
Well,
probably rebel against it. Most players will notice when that happens.
There's levels to it, because don't get me wrong, my party is not, I would say, so much the average D&D party, because from our conversation in the past, you have said you've got a really fucking weird party.
You do.
And what I meant by you don't want to give them full freedom is because, frankly, if you give a party full freedom, they're going to stand around and be like, don't really know what to do.
Yeah. You need to give them some guidance.
Yeah.
And in every party, no matter how experienced they are, no matter how like intuitive they tend to be, they're going to get stuck at some point, and you're going to need to give them a nudge.
Yeah. Normally in the form of, like, someone's setting fire to the building there, and now they're like, oh, we're pissed, we need to get revenge on these fuckers.
Yeah, I just had somebody try to rob my D&D party. They dug a tunnel under their... Yeah, they dug a tunnel under their manor and was trying to get into their vault and steal their gold.
That sounds like something I'd do.
Yeah, but they caught him. They did catch... One of them rolled high enough perception and was able to hear the mining happen, and they were able to stop the people and seal it back up. But now they're on edge now, which is good. You never want your D&D party to be too comfortable.
This is the thing. I like to keep my party as close to the poverty line as possible.
I'm okay with my party being rich, but I just give them rich people problems to deal with.
Yeah, but that gives me anxiety. You know what I mean?
I don't. But you're going to have to explain this to me.
Okay, well, let's say you have 100 gold pieces, right?
Yeah.
No, fuck that. That's pittance for a D&D party. Let's say you have 100 platinum pieces. People either don't know what to spend it on, they don't want to spend any large amount of it because then they think the fear of missing out on something better for slightly more money, or you're carrying around all of this money and then one day some asshole's gonna shank you in the asshole and take it all.
So let me tell you about... We talked about how weird your D&D party is. Let me tell you about mine. My D&D party currently has in their possession about 50,000 gold pieces.
Yeah.
What they're doing is investing in improving a business that they've started in the middle of the downtown, making deals with like traders in the town. They've bought a few magic items, but they're mostly investing their money. And so I've had to like come up with rules around like how much like food and drink is going to cost them to resupply the inn, you know, how much money they're pulling in from customers each night, and at the same time, because they have this much money, now they're on the radar of the town's like wealthy elite, and some people might be moving in to try and economically fuck with them and not just, you know, monsters and stuff. So it's become like a dual campaign where they're dealing with... It's, you know that game Moonlighter?
Yeah.
It's like that, where at night they're going into the dungeons and fighting off the monsters, but in the morning they're manning the shop and trying to make sure that everything's good with the merchants and shit. It's become that in a way.
I tried that at one point because they were getting particularly poor at one point. I said, right, you can set up a business where basically you'll set yourself up as a mercenary group, and each day there'll be new like small quests that will be delivered to you from the town council, and they'll say, here are the things that need doing. If you complete this mission, you get this reward, like a quest board in a game.
Yeah.
Which sounds great, but in reality, it split the party up. It made the game more like, okay, what's the most efficient way of getting the maximum amount of money in the smallest time?
Oh boy.
And yeah, it was all about dividing and conquering, which D&D is all about, in my opinion, is all about being a single united party who doesn't always get along, but they move around together because they need to. And yeah, they could upgrade their base and stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm not an artist. Well, I'm not a very good artist, and so like all the upgrades they were getting were purely in their heads, I guess.
To be fair, pen and paper games, though, that's what you have to do. Like, the expectation is a lot of it is going to be in your head.
But they've got very bad memory. I've got a very bad memory. And it didn't feel like I was giving enough to them. And also, I was having to come up with like 4 different quests every single session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've just reminded me. I had to make up a few mechanics. So I use a notebook for D&D and for the podcast and things, so I don't forget these things. The problem is, I'm running 2 parallel campaigns, and I'm using the same notebook for both, and I have to keep like reminding, because I've made up mechanics for certain non-canon skills. So like increasing their proficiency with cooking, increasing their proficiency with playing chess, increasing their proficiency with a musical instrument. Not outside of that one, the perform skill kind of works for, but basically I've developed a system in which they level up logarithmically. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
No.
Okay, so there's an exponential curve where it goes up and then it starts going up really fast.
Right.
And there's a logarithmic curve where at first it goes up very fast and then it kind of levels off.
Right.
So I've made a logarithmic leveling system for those skills. So they will still go up, but it gets slower and slower and slower and slower until finally it just kind of plateaus, and they really can't get any better at that point. But I've been keeping track of it in my notebook, and so I have to keep flipping back, like, oh, when was the last time they practiced a skill? What was the number at? And so I just need to move it to like an Excel sheet or something like that, because it's getting complicated, because 4 of the party have these types of skills now that I've created the system.
That's something that, because of this new campaign that's supposedly going to happen, which I'm going to make happen, I have made a character for the first time in years who is a Dragonborn monk. And I was like, you know what? I would love to do some, like... like when you start a Minecraft server and you're like, I want to actually learn how potions work, right? And then inevitably it sucks and you hate it. But D&D, there is an alchemy kit, there's a set of culinary tools, there's a whole bunch of different stuff that you can have as items at the beginning, which you start with. Which inevitably no one ever fucking uses. Because there are literally like no rules around most of these things.
Yeah, not really. Like I've had people use carpenter's tools, forgery tools, and thieves' tools before.
Yeah.
Because those have thieves' tools, you pick a lock. Makes sense. Forgery tools, you make a fake document. Makes sense. Carpenter's tools, I build a chair, or I repair a boat, or something like that. Again, fairly straightforward.
But you also need proficiency in that.
You do.
Which, I mean, who the fuck is ever going to go into proficiency in a non-combat thing in D&D? Unless you've really fucking played a lot of D&D.
Some people like to roleplay.
And you've made up homebrew rules, because there are just no rules for these things.
Yeah, not well-defined ones, at least. I know the character that I've been playing for the last 4 years in Jesse's campaign, it feels weird to say that, but we have been playing this campaign for 4 years.
Flex!
We play it like for an hour and a half, like every Tuesday or Wednesday. We've switched the day a couple times. And so it takes a long time to get through that campaign.
Yeah. I mean, D&D's not really meant to have an end to it all that much.
It isn't, but this campaign, it's a campaign book we're playing through. And the campaign is supposed to end at level 10. And we're level 9 now. So we're in the end game.
Damn. That's going to be a massive disappointment when it finishes.
Well, we already, mugged the final boss in a flashback. We went to this enchanted, back in time sort of thing. Where we sort of couldn't be killed and neither could he. So we just, picked him up and threw him in a sack. And tried shoving him through a portal to see what would happen.
I see.
We're hoping he doesn't remember that, but he probably will. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super psyched for that if it happens. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've actually been a player.
And the other thing, like, I actually have to check in with Duncan about this. He's been running a Gundam D&D campaign, and I've been having a ton of fun with that. So it's just a quick 3-player thing. He did a homebrew system to start it off with, and it's based on the Universal Century Mobile Suit Gundam series, and it's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun, the player. And he's tweaked things as we go along and as we play through it, but yeah, it's very fresh. I'm gonna bring it back to this. There's a Cyberpunk tabletop game. It started out as a tabletop game, and back in the '80s, and they've just released a new one.
Yeah,
I want to try running a campaign in it.
I was thinking because I've been trying to run a horror campaign, and I really am struggling to come up with homebrew rules for the combat. I don't want to use the original D&D 5e rules because I kind of dislike them. I think that combat goes way too slow. There's
a ton of other things you could try. There's GURPS.
Well, what I was thinking about, what I've been most recently thinking about, is the D&D original board game. Now, in that, you had... You could hold a weapon, right? Let's say you have a broadsword, and a broadsword meant you rolled these 2 kinds of dice, and then you could roll anything on that dice from no damage to whatever damage. You don't do hit or miss. You just roll a dice, which has a 0 on it, so that's technically a miss. And then maybe there's a single spot on it which is a crit. And you just get dice with higher numbers on. So it's still they're all D6s, but one of them has 4 empty spots and 2 1s and a 2. That'd be a D7 somehow. And another one has 3 5s and an 8 or something. I don't know. So I was thinking about doing that kind of way. I've been thinking through games in general. And I was like, ooh, maybe... there was another game involving cards, which I was thinking about, and now I've forgotten what it is. Oh, Dicey Dungeon style.
Okay.
Kind of a mix of dice and cards. And then I got a migraine. And, yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to do a homebrew system, it's probably better to keep it simple to start with. The other thing to do, if you're thinking about hits, is think about how Warhammer, the tabletop game, how that works.
That's originally how I was planning it. And then I realised I didn't know enough about Warhammer. I haven't played the game in a very long time. Because they've got armour and then dodges and then
abilities and things. Yeah, you roll to hit and then you roll to hit again. You roll a lot of D6s in that game. That's all I remember about it.
It's all D6s. Which I quite like. I like that because I want to roll a lot of dice. I don't want to roll a single dice. I want to roll 5.
Just to roll everything.
Yeah. Because my whole party, they correctly love dice. Who doesn't love a good dice, right? More dice is better dice. And they've got a lot of different colourful ones. Yep, you've got one on your desk, your little bowl. In fact, I think of all the players in my D&D room, I've probably got the least dice. Because I'm cheap. But there you go.
You accumulate them over the years. And you can get a pack. I know one of my one of the players in Jesse's group, who was our DM before Jesse. Yeah. And he's actually done some one-off things. He has at some point off of some site, he bought a sack of 100 just random die. Random colors, random sizes. It was just a grab bag of just dice.
That sounds fun. Yeah. I want a ball pit.
Of just dice.
Of dice.
The problem is, unlike a ball pit, you couldn't really dive into that because they're a bit harder. And
then the occasional one is one of those metal dice. With the sharp edges.
Oh yeah, I got one of those right here.
Yeah. Which make a really fucking loud noise when you roll.
They do. I actually had to stop using that when we... So I got that dice. It's years and years ago. the friend, when we played it in person, we had a game that we'd play like once every month or two, and we just go up to his house and play for like 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
And but he had a glass table, so I had to stop rolling the metal die. I was afraid I was going to break it.
Yeah.
It had a mat on it, but occasionally it would roll off the mat if I rolled too enthusiastically.
And everyone like grips their seat and their buttholes clench.
Oh god.
Yeah.
All right.
Holy shit. But yeah.
I think that's enough D&D talk, though.
Indeed.
Yeah. We've run the gambit. All right. This is going to be the end of episode 96 of the TMJ. Oh my god, fuck that.
Oh my god. You better not do that on episode 100.
This is going to be the end of episode 96 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening. 96. Shit! It's 97.
Yes. I can't believe I remember that. You're awful today, man. What the fuck?
I got it right in the beginning. It's going to be the end of episode 97 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you'll hear us again soon for episode 98.